Hello guys! Tea with me today is going to finish the reading session for your TOEFL exam. Are you ready to understand the final questions and prepare for the reading part? Are you ready to score high? So let's do this! Hello guys! Tea with me today is going to finish the reading session for your TOEFL exam. If you have missed reading sessions 1 and 2, you can go to the playlist for the channel and you can find the videos there. We are covering the kinds of questions that appeared on the exam. You needed to understand what the questions want from you before you get to the day of the exam. As you are going to see today, we have 2 questions that are more demanding, and understanding them is pretty important and time-saving. And time is something that you don't have on your side. But before we get to that, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends that are preparing for the TOEFL exam, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our Wednesday's videos, okay? So, we are going to finish the TOEFL session with the 4 final questions today. So we are finishing with making inferences from stated facts questions, rhetorical purposes, select summary information, and complete schematic tables. So let's get to it. Making inference. What is an inference? An inference is, simply put, an educated guess. The information itself, word by word, is not in the text, but based on the elements presented, you can infer, you can deduce that that answer is accurate for the question. So here is an example with the text ancient coins, and it asks you that it can be inferred from paragraph 1 that, which means that based on what you read on paragraph 1, the correct information is, it's not that hard, and the questions are divided specifically into paragraphs. So these kinds of questions are, again, questions that you can work with without reading the entire text. You can go to the question, the paragraph that the question refers to, and answer it, okay? So how do you know that this question asks you to infer something? Well, the title of the question is, it is implied in paragraph blah blah, it can be inferred from paragraph blah blah, it is most likely that, what probably happened. So when this question, this is the identity of the question, you know that the information per se is not in the text. You are inferring based on what you have read on the specific paragraph that they mention. So how can you answer these questions? You choose a keyword or a key phrase from the question title. You scan the passage. If you don't remember skimming and scanning, go to the video reading session part 2 that I have given you guys tips on skimming and scanning, because scanning is when you are looking for specific kinds of information. You don't read the entire text. You look for the information that is important for you to answer the question. And you carefully read the sentence that contains the keyword or the phrase that you decided it is extremely important for you to answer the question. The best way to understand better about inferences is with practice. So here I have a text for you guys to practice inferences, okay? The answer key is on the PDF link available with this presentation in the video description. Then we move on to the next kind of question, infer rhetorical purpose. Again, this question focuses on a more general idea of the passage. So skimming the passage is important. And when we talk about rhetorical purpose, I'm talking about the intention behind something that was stated. Why does the author mention this? Why does the author says that? I'm inferring the intention of the author of the text. So take a look here at this text example, the magnetosphere. Why does the author mention a teardrop in the passage? Because I'm indicating the shape of something. The teardrop here does not refer to the teardrop itself, but is to provide the reader an idea of the shape of the magnetosphere. Okay, so how do I identify these questions? I always have the author mentioned as the identity of the question. So why does the author blah blah? The author mentioned blah blah in order to, because I want to understand the intention of the author. Okay, so I needed to study the highlighted information. This piece of information, word, sentence, phrase, is going to appear highlighted in the paragraph and in the question for you. The context around the highlighted information. How that highlighted information connects to the paragraph it's in. How does it connect to the main idea from the text? I need to draw a conclusion and then I go check the answers that I have. Okay, the best way to work with purposes, the author's intention, is practice. And again, here you can stop the video or you can get the presentation below and practice inferences. It's important to understand that you are not going to find clearly stated the answer there. You are inferring, you are deducing. And then we move to the two kinds of questions that are worth more than 2 points, usually, sometimes 3-4 points per question, because they ask you guys to summarize and complete tables. Okay, so this question here, select summary information. So they present to you the piece of the text you are supposed to consider, and sometimes the entire text. So here you needed to have understood the text properly. Let's imagine it, let's consider that a great amount of time to work with is 20 minutes per text, which I would say 15 minutes to answer the questions and 5 minutes to review. So answer the questions first that I have already explained to you guys. You don't need to read the entire text. The questions focus on specific paragraphs, specific words, specific parts, and the questions direct you guys to that part. You are going to need to take another skimming reading for these final questions. They are usually the final questions and they are longer. So here, they present a piece of the text that I'm supposed to consider. The great compromise is the text. And what they want me to do is I needed to drag the sentences to the chart, to the table that I have. The table has the following. This passage discusses how the legislative branch of the US government came to be organized. I have options below. I'm gonna drag the options that are correct. So consider in this scenario here, this question is worth 2 points. So if I get only 2 correct sentences up, I'm going to get 1 point. And if I get 1 sentence correct, I don't score anything. So these questions are important for a high score because 1 question right may give you no points. Best way to do it, it's by practicing reading long texts. If you guys are used to reading short materials, it's time to step up your game. It's time to practice skimming so you can read larger amounts of material in a shorter period of time, and you can practice answer these kinds of questions more efficiently. You are probably gonna work with them at the end of your exam because they are the last questions in each text. So they appear as usual as a summary information chart. You see the chart, it's easy to identify. You need to pay attention to what they separate as the source of information that you are going to read. Read that source of information, the paragraph, the part, the section of the text that they separated for that question, And then start eliminating the false information from the sentences that you have below. It's the best way to understand and to answer the questions accurately and in a fast way. For each statement that is true according to the passage, evaluate, assess if it is a major fact related to the topic or a minor detail. Okay? Understand that because your answers, your correct answers, are always focusing on major details, major factors is the most important, not the details, okay, that are going to be the correct answers for you. The best way to understand is practice. So here I have something for you guys to practice as well. And finally, the most complex question from the TOEFL reading session, the schematic tables. You have again the entire text or a large chunk of the text, which is not in this case, but it's just an example that I have on screen for you guys. And take a look at that. You have sentences to divide the sentences into the two types of reptiles presented in this example text, this sample text, okay? Again, I have sentences and I'm gonna drag them to the correct part of the chart. What is important to remember, I need to skim and scan the chunk of the text that they have separated for me. I identified those questions because they present the table I'm supposed to complete and the set of sentences below. They are also worth 2-3 points sometimes. And I needed to separate my sentences into true information, false information, and not even discussed, because this particular kind of question presents sentences that are not discussed in the text. They are the confusing factors. I'm going to eliminate the false and not discussed, okay? You are gonna take more time to answer these kinds of questions. Questions that ask you to summarize and to complete charts require more of you. So make sure that you practice understanding the questions so you can work first with the questions that direct you to specific parts of the text and do not require you to read the entire text. And then you work with more complex questions because you have the time to do so. And here I have the Sand Dune sample text that you can practice reading, skimming, and selecting the false and not discussed sentences to complete the chart correctly. And that's it for the reading session. We finished covering the kinds of questions that may appear here. We start now understanding better the kinds of listening questions that may appear. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the Wednesday videos that we are going to have, preparing you for TOEFL, IELTS, and with advanced grammar tips to improve your fluency on speaking and writing in English. The PDF with the presentation exercises and answer key is at the video description. I see you next week, guys.